I know there are a lot of people who enjoy Gotham Knights as is, but I think there's a lot of room for improvement, particularly in the side mission department. One of my biggest gripes with this game is the lack of meaty side missions to bite into. So I thought I'd take a crack at writing in 3 new ones with new characters. The ideas for these actually came from the first video I ever made on this channel before Gotham Knights even came out. But enough shameful self-promotion. Let's talk about the extra side missions I would have added into Gotham Knights if I was Wally Warner Bros., king of tripping over my own dick. A contract was triggered the moment word got out that Batman was dead. Some mysterious big money high roller wants the Bat family killed, and who else could do the job other than Deathstroke the Terminator? How wasn't Slade included in what is essentially a Bat family Teen Titans game? They have the tower base in the middle of the city, they have the goofy living together hijinks, although they're not living together, I think? Deathstroke needs to be around to muck things up, but he's the kind of villain who loves mind games, and his history with the Bat family, Nightwing in particular, would blind his better judgment. So, he sets a trap. The first mission begins when the Knights are alerted to a hostage situation in town. When the player arrives, they find that the police have the area surrounded, and thugs are barricaded inside. The Knight has to sneak in and take out the thugs to save the hostages. Typical hero stuff. However, when they free the last hostage, he sprays them with a powerful nerve gas, making the Knight go limp. The hostage was Slade Wilson in disguise. He tells the Knight that was too easy. He hopes the others will do better. This is when the real action kicks off. No fluttering back to the open world, the game cuts to the Belfry as Deathstroke taunts them over the downed Knight's communicator. The player needs to choose one of the remaining Knights to go and take on Deathstroke. I don't have any friends, so I'm not certain how co-op works, but let's just say if you did this mission in co-op, then Deathstroke captured 2 Knights, and you can use 2 Knights to go and save them. Anyway, the player arrives at the coordinates Deathstroke communicated to them, the Cobblepot Steel Building. Inside, the captured Knight is hanging upside down. Deathstroke begins taunting the Knights over an intercom and sicks some ninja-style mercenary goons on the player. The player has to fend them off as the Knights banter about how Deathstroke won't show his face. All the while, he continues to criticize their technique over the intercom. Just as the last mercenary is defeated, Deathstroke begins monologuing about how the Knights don't stack up to Batman. The player character interjects, telling Deathstroke to show himself just as they are leapt upon from the shadows by Deathstroke. His intercom voice continues on. It was a recording set up to distract them. Deathstroke mocks the Knight, easily caught off guard by a simple trick. He tells them he was hoping for a challenge, that killing them now would be like slaughtering defenseless puppies. There's no fun in it. He chokes the Knight out, cutting the scene to black. The mission picks up with all the Knights reunited at the Belfry, utterly ashamed of the full-on ass-blasting they just received. They'll have a chance to redeem themselves, though, because Deathstroke has set up shop in Gotham City, essentially just acting like a menace to the Knights. He's having his fun until he eventually wants to collect on his contract. From here, Deathstroke's side mission is more of a series of open-world challenges that, once completed, leads to a final fight with Deathstroke. For example, those annoying-ass drones that prevent the Knights from fast-traveling? Yeah, changing those to Deathstroke's drones. Every once in a while, the Bat Cycle or Bat Glider thing will malfunction, resulting in the Knights landing in an ambush from some of Deathstroke's hired mercenaries. Just little annoyances here and there that keep the player on their toes in the open world. I feel like I'm slowly going down the route of making Deathstroke like Taskmaster from Spider-Man PS4, and I think that's perfect. Have Deathstroke combat challenges. Rebrand the traversal time trials to be orchestrated by Deathstroke. Maybe even those weird Most Wanted dudes could have some connection with him. The bottom line is he should serve as an all-encompassing and ever-present threat that occasionally pops up to taunt you on your communicator, rather than reside in a strange side story world like how the original side mission villains were handled. When all is said and done, once you complete all his challenges, he'll agree to meet you for one final showdown that will be hard as hell. If you lose, then you go back into the open world and train your ass off until you can finally take him down. Once defeated, he's stunned by the Knight's abilities, who can now stand tall, having managed to defeat one of the deadliest combatants in the world. Oh, also, at the end of the mission, we find out it was Penguin who put the hit out on the Bat family years ago, back during the height of his criminal days. When confronted about it, he claims it had completely slipped his mind. Next up, we gotta have anarchy in this game. What better time is there for anarchy to really make an impact on Gotham than the period right after Batman's death? This is Gotham City on the brink. Two warring assassin factions battling for control, a young team of superheroes stepping up, and a police commissioner who hates vigilantes. Chaos is just around the corner, so why not have anarchy give the city a little push? The mission starts with the Knights doing their thing in the Belfry, when suddenly alerts blare. Full-blown code red panic. Hard cut to City Hall, which is under siege by terrorists. Oh yeah, we're going big. Anarchy isn't just some kid getting started like he was in Arkham Origins. He's a seasoned criminal who has recognized a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and he plans to seize it. He drags the mayor out front and declares to the gathered crowd that the time of oppression is over. The state is crumbling. The people of Gotham just need to take their freedom. He tosses the mayor down the steps before the crowd. Tear him apart, and you'll all be free. The citizens shuffle backward as the mayor writhes in pain. Anarchy asks what they're waiting for as the knight swoops in, telling him these people aren't interested in his game. Anarchy says this is no game. This is about people's lives. Then six his goons on the knight. The player has to take them all down, then chase after Anarchy's armored caravan of trucks on the Bat-cycle. The knight is able to take down all but one of the trucks using their projectiles. But Anarchy lobs a pipe bomb out of his, sending the knight crashing off course. Anarchy escapes. From this point onward, there will be small, randomly generated anarchy goon crimes in the wealthier areas of Gotham. The Knights need to interrogate 5 of these goons, and once they've gathered enough intel, the next mission can start with the Knights learning about Anarchy's next step. He's planning to bomb 4 major corporate high-rises, a la Fight Club. The Knight takes to the skies and has to clear out rooftops filled with goons and bombs. A little homage to Arkham Origins. When all is said and done, the Knight gets an alert that the GCPD is on fire. The player rushes over to find Anarchy's goons beating on cops outside the burning headquarters. The player stops them, then rushes inside to fight off more goons and rescue whoever they can. The mission ends with the Knight reluctantly pulling an unconscious Commissioner Kane from the burning building. The next mission begins when the Knights reconvene at the Belfry and try to talk through Anarchy's next move. For a man who likes to hear himself preach, he was notably absent during the attempted bombings and fire. Suddenly, the Belfry begins shaking. Anarchy's voice booms in from outside, calling for the Knights to face him. He knows they're based in this area. The people talk. The player sneaks out and around so they don't reveal the Belfry as their secret base. They confront Anarchy on the train tracks. One track has already been blown up, hence the shaking, and beside Anarchy is a train car rigged with explosives. The Knight tells him to stop this madness. Anarchy lashes out, declaring that he miscalculated. He thought the people would rise to the occasion and overthrow their oppressors, but the Knight interfered again and again. That's what made him realize the people have been brainwashed into thinking a protector will always keep them safe, no matter the oppression they face. The Knights are the bulwark against the people claiming freedom. He should have killed them from the start. A dozen laser sights suddenly appear on the Knight, who immediately dodges out of the way. The entire area is filled with Anarchy's goons, and the Knight tries to get to safety. Not so fast, Anarchy shouts over a bullhorn. If you leave now, who will stop this train from running off the tracks and blowing up half of City Hall? So the player has to simultaneously dodge sniper fire while racing after the runaway train car. During this, the Knight calls the Belfry to have them evacuate the area around City Hall. After some dodging and weaving, the player is able to board the train, take down some seriously dedicated goons, deactivate the bomb, and just as it's about to fly off the tracks, reverse the direction of the train so it heads right back to Anarchy. Anarchy didn't expect that, and struggles to escape as the Knight leaps from the train and takes him down in a sweet-ass finishing move. The day is saved as Anarchy is thrown into the custody of a rather pissed-off police force. Scarecrow is just too great of a villain not to want in every Batman game ever. His abilities lend themselves so well to insano mode video game fun. The tricky part with this game, though, is that you really can't design fear hallucinations for missions that are playable by 4 individual characters with unique personalities. I mean, theoretically, you could, but let's be realistic. This is Gotham Knights after all. But I think I've got an okay workaround. The mission starts with the Knights discovering raving lunatics out in the open world. It's one individual at a time, similar to the mini Clayface thugs. The Knight has to take down these terrified individuals as they attack random citizens out of fear of a bat monster. It's very obvious to the Knights that Scarecrow must be behind this. Before the Belfry can mumbo-jumbo some science to triangulate where these lunatics could be coming from, the player has to take down 5 of them. The next mission begins when the Knight travels to a pharmaceutical research facility. Inside, all seems normal. The Knights need to sneak around without being seen by the employees until they eventually discover a secret entrance to an underground lab. This lab is a dark mirror of the one above. Rather than rats in cages for experimentation, there are imprisoned human beings screaming in fear. Hunched over a table at the far end of the lab stands a silhouette in what appears to be a black lab coat. The Knight exits a vent and drops down right behind them. It's over, Crane. The figure turns around and reveals itself to be Batman. This can't be happening. It's alright. What are you so afraid of? Batman asks, stepping closer. No. This is a trick. Were you always this scared of me? Batman asks. There are so many who are. You should meet some of them. Batman presses a switch and releases all the drugged people out of their cages, who then attack the Knight. This is where we can have some visual fun. As the fight goes on, the lunatics are constantly changing character models, from the various different goons in-game, to actual villains including Harley Quinn, Deathstroke, Anarchy, Talia, and even the other Knights. When all is said and done, the Knight stumbles back from the unconscious bodies of all these victims, trying to get their head on straight. They realize they've been drugged, but still can't help calling out to Batman, who has disappeared into the chaos. Over an intercom, he speaks to the Knight. Only an unworthy hero succumbs to fear so easily. You will be destroyed by it. What's your game, Crane? No Crane, only Batman. Yeah, so Scarecrow has completely lost it. In the absence of Batman, the man who Scarecrow feared the most, his twisted little nog has snapped a bit more. He's decided that he'll overcome his only fear by embracing it. Ironically, much like Batman did with bats. The Knights reconvene at the Belfry, and pretty much just decompress after that total mindfuck. Of course, Montoya calls in to ruin it, and let them know that the police are getting reports of Batman sightings across town by people on the verge of manic episodes. The Knights explain what's going on to her, and she tells them they better stop this fast. From this point onward, the Knights can happen upon citizens and criminals in the open world who are victims of fear toxin that the player can take down. However, that's some added flavor, just like with the Anarchy goons. Not a real mission. That comes when Montoya gives the Belfry another call. They join her at the GCPD to interrogate a higher-up in the Gotham City mob who is afflicted by fear toxin. During the interrogation, the mobster says that Batman took down his entire operation. What was that operation? Well, they were smuggling in drugs using a fleet of ships. This interrogation is interrupted with news that something big is going down on Tri-Corner Island. The player races to the scene as the Belfry fills them in. The entire island has been surrounded by a perimeter of ships, releasing fear toxin into the air. Every single person on the island is experiencing hallucinations. When the player arrives, they find the chaos you'd expect. Batman stands below the Statue of Justice, commanding those around him to fear him, to obey him. Fear is justice. The player has to fight through wave after wave of frightened lunatics to get to Crane in order to stop this. All the while, the map is slowly morphing, and the combatants are changing character models, just like in the prior level. When the Knight finally makes it to Batman, he taunts them, telling them they'll never be the protector this city needs. They'll never be able to wield fear as a weapon. The two square up, and the fight ends abruptly. Having battled through fear, the Knight can partially see through the hallucinations now, and see Scarecrow for what he truly is. Just a kooky freak in a makeshift suit. The Knight takes a device off of Scarecrow's unconscious body, and uses it to remotely seal the gas canisters on the surrounding ships. The people will need to be treated, but the Knights have developed an antidote for mass production. This nightmare is at an end. So yeah, that was my take on some brand new missions. Please let me know what you think of these missions, and let me know what characters you would have liked to see in this game. Thanks so much for watching, and take care.